Also added, it's ludicrous, it's insane. If Major League Baseball doesn't want to promote itself, so be it. Under the original plan, TV stations had to buy a $3,500 decoder and pay $250 for each feed used. Now broadcasters will be provided with a daily lineup of games, where they're located on the satellite and transponder, and whether those games are scrambled. Initially, 25% of baseball's backhaul feeds will be scrambled. That percentage will be increased until June 15th, which is the target date for full-time scrambling of the backhaul feeds of all 23 Major League teams. A satellite dealer victory in Lansing, Michigan. Lolita has that story.
A Michigan satellite dealership has been awarded $54,258 in a libel suit against a local newspaper that erroneously reported that the dealership, Michigan Microtech, had stopped selling satellite dishes because of signal scrambling. According to the Detroit Times, an Ingham County jury found that the Michigan Microtech was economically damaged by the inaccurate reporting in the Lansing State Journal, which reportedly caused a $54,000 profit loss. The Lansing Journal, however, is considering an appeal because, in the words of publisher Malcolm Applegate, the paper responded promptly with a correction, and we believe that the plaintiff failed to demonstrate any loss of sales.
Thanks, Lolita. Beginning Tuesday, April 26th, there will be a new Shop at Home show available to the home dish viewer. The new program is called Home Tech, and it'll specialize in state-of-the-art home entertainment items such as VCRs and camcorders. Home Tech spokesman Clark Story says the show will be taped at his Home Tech retail store in Apple River, Illinois, and for starters, it will air every other Tuesday at midnight Eastern. Story says Home Tech will be targeted exclusively to the home dish owner, but will sell very little satellite equipment. The program will be transmitted on Westar 5 on either transponder 20 or 24. That hasn't been confirmed yet. A flat plate antenna manufacturer ends up in court. Karen has the details.
Flat antennas have gotten off to a poor start in this country. Not much activity on the production line, but quite a bit of action in the courtroom. A second lawsuit involving a flat dish manufacturer was filed last month, this one against Phasar for breach of contract. The lawsuit names Colorado equipment distributor ETTI as the plaintiff, who claims that a contract was signed and $5,000 was paid to Phasar as a deposit in order to have Phasar deliver 10,000 C-band flat dishes by October 1 of 1987. ETTI says that no dishes were delivered and Phasar had no intention on meeting the terms of the contract. But according to Roswell Miller, president of the defending firm, Phasar decided not to honor the contract when they discovered that persons named in a previous suit filed by the state district attorney were also principals of ETTI. The state investigator told Boresight that Larry Chaucy, general manager of ETTI, was also affiliated with Zenith Plus, who along with Future Communications created a stir last year when it accepted thousands of dollars from 150 satellite retailers but delivered no product. Last week, Phasar filed a response to ETTI's charges, claiming that they had done no wrong. WrestleMania 4 was transmitted via Galaxy 3 on March 27th, but dish owners were not to be recipients of that broadcast. According to Mike Weber, spokesperson for Titan Sports, the event was distributed via closed circuit and through cable affiliates. Dish owners were not provided access because of the limitations on the video cipher's pay-per-view options and because of security concerns. But security was still an issue and the reason why 2 Michigan bars will be facing lawsuits filed by the World Federation of Wrestling and by General Instruments. The bars allegedly pirated the encrypted fight, showed it to tavern customers. As a pay-per-view event for cable customers, WrestleMania 4 was seen in 1.1 million households.
Thanks, Karen. Boresight News will be right back after these words. Stay with us.
Protect your hardware and your software with the Microcom 300 uninterrupted power supply. It protects your computer, your data, and the other important devices you're operating when power is lost. It also gives you the ultimate in protection from lightning storms. Don't let your data go down with your computer. Buy the Microcom 300 uninterrupted power supply for only $275. Visa MasterCard is also accepted. Send check or money order to 262 Old New Brunswick Road, Piscataway, New Jersey, 08854.
The National Association of Broadcasters represents more than 5,000 radio and 940 television stations, including all the major networks. The large lobbying group's main concern is protecting the interests of terrestrial or over-the-air broadcasters. Recently, the NAB sent a delegation to Japan to examine developments in high-definition television. The NAB group found that the Japanese are far ahead of the United States in HDTV development, and that their plans for HDTV stressed DBS distribution rather than over-the-air broadcast. During a recent broadcast of the NAB's monthly satellite feed, Telejournal, NAB Chairman of the Board Wally Jorgensen and Executive Vice President John Abel discussed their meetings with representatives of the Japanese government, trade associations, and receiver manufacturers.
We also saw a lot of new developments in high-definition technology. And John, what impressed you most about that?
Well, I think the thing that impressed me most about the Japanese and their advancements in high-definition television, Wally, is that DBS is the form that they see HDTV being delivered in Japan. And DBS is already in existence in Japan now. They are going to have DBS service of HDTV off the satellite for part of the Seoul Olympics from Seoul, South Korea. And they will be delivering that to about 50 receiving locations around Japan, with 4 Muse receivers in each of those locations to have at least the opening and closing of the Summer Olympics delivered live in high-definition television to those locations. They are focusing a great deal on promoting HDTV in Japan. They had an HDTV fair earlier this year in June, in which they carried live baseball games in high-definition television and distributed them off the satellite. But I think it's clear that high-definition television in Japan, they see it as a DBS service, not as a terrestrially based service. DBS is there today. If you'll recall, when we walked around Tokyo, we saw those less than 1 meter satellite dishes and even flat antennas, flat satellite antennas, being sold openly on the streets for about $300 or $400. And we were told by the Japanese that those DBS receiving antennas are some of the wildest things on the electronic market, and everyone's trying to get one. They can't keep up with the demand for DBS receivers.
Despite their admiration of Japan's progress in DBS-delivered HDTV, Abel and Jorgensen attributed those advances to a unique marketplace that is not primarily served by terrestrial broadcasting.
Japanese system, delivering as it does to satellite, is fine for Japan because it's one nation and they have one single government system.
That's right. They're spread over several islands, and satellite makes a lot of sense for them, and they're a very homogeneous population. The local broadcasters, if you will, to the extent that they exist, are concentrated in the larger cities, and there is terrestrial broadcasting. There are commercial broadcasters there, and I think they are concerned about HDTV, but clearly HDTV to them is going to be on satellite, and they're going to be providing a terrestrially based service. I think the Japanese were responsive to our needs. I think you and Eddie made it pretty clear in the conversations that we had that the U.S. system is totally different, that we have 1,300 local television stations serving local needs and interests, providing local programming, sports and news programming, and that's not something that they do very much in Japan.
American over-the-air broadcasters are looking for a system that is comparable to the high-definition resolution possible on DBS and video cassette. But due to the technical limitations of over-the-air transmission, terrestrial broadcasters and their viewers may have to settle for a comparable standard of picture called extended definition television, or EDTV. EDTV will have a widescreen picture, but the picture resolution will not be equal to high-definition television.
HDTV is not going to be able to be compressed to 6 megahertz and be able to be transmitted in the 6 megahertz band. We might be able to improve a lot on the current NTSC or extended definition or advanced definition television that NHK was working on, but it's not going to be possible to do it in the 6 megahertz without sacrificing some picture quality.
In order to improve the picture quality of terrestrial broadcasts, several options are being considered.
And they're working on several systems to do that. One system would be a split channel system, if you will, taking 6 megahertz from the current spectrum and 3 megahertz from either UHF or 2.5 gigahertz or maybe even 12 gigahertz. They're working on a system for that, and they have a system for that for Muse, but I think, if you'll recall our discussions there, they feel that that's somewhat less desirable than true HDTV.
So far, the closest example to true HDTV is the studio standard used in video production. It is said that this high-resolution video rivals the quality of 35mm film. The studio standard uses an enormous bandwidth of 90 megahertz with a picture composed of 1125 lines. The aspect ratio is 16:9 and the sound is digital multi-channel stereo. Picture resolution is twice that of the current NTSC standard. This standard was developed by the National Television Systems Committee in the 1930s and put to use in 1940. The last major picture improvement was the addition of color in 1953. The NTSC standard is limited to a 6 megahertz bandwidth, 525 scan lines, and an aspect ratio of 4:3. Sound is multi-channel stereo where available, but mono is dominant. The Japanese Muse system is the method that will most likely become the standard for DBS broadcasts. In this system of HDTV, the bandwidth is compressed to accommodate 8.1 megahertz. The resolution is the same as the studio standard with 1125 lines and an aspect ratio of 16:9, or as mentioned before, twice that of the NTSC system now in use in the United States. The Muse system uses digital 4-channel sound. As you can see from the chart, there is a compromise in the bandwidth and audio capacity between Muse and the studio standard. The biggest compromise, however, will be in the extended television systems being considered by the terrestrial broadcasters. They are limited by a 6 megahertz bandwidth unless extra spectrum space on the UHF band is used. This would require 2 channels. The allocation of this limited spectrum space is being examined by the FCC, who must determine whether local UHF TV stations, mobile phone companies, or broadcast networks will be assigned to the already crowded broadcast band. In October, NBC and GE announced the result of a joint venture to develop an extended definition television system that would not only be operable on a 6 megahertz bandwidth, but would also be backwards compatible with existing NTSC receivers. In other words, those who have old TV sets would still be able to use them, although they wouldn't receive the benefits of EDTV. This would be comparable to the ability of owners of black and white TVs being able to watch shows that are transmitted in color. The NBC GE system, called Advanced Compatible Television, is in reality an enhanced definition system with 1,050 lines per frame and an aspect ratio of 16:9. This system will have the same audio capability of the NTSC standard. NBC and GE would like to see this system become the standard for not only terrestrial broadcast, but cable as well. The attitude being, why disrupt what we already have in place? When Boresight asked if the system would be applicable to TVRO systems, NBC officials were caught off guard.
Plans to make this system compatible for the home satellite dish market. Backyard dish owners may receive this type of high definition signal.
Steve, this is again, it's a transmission method for terrestrial broadcasting. More than likely, those folks transporting widescreen pictures via satellite use different methodology and a different system. So they wouldn't be using it for that.
The future of HDTV in the United States for now is in limbo. Over-the-air and cable broadcasters will have a difficult time retooling their operations to offer HDTV, or most likely an inferior substitute. Although spectrum allocation is not as critical an issue to cable as it is to broadcast TV, there is the question of how HDTV signals can be transmitted over great distances of coaxial cable without loss of quality. It is also reported that cable systems with 35 channels or less may have to realign their spectrum. One cable programmer, HBO, has been carefully researching HDTV as well as surveying consumer interest in the technology. HBO may be playing both ends against the middle. If the cable industry can't accommodate an HBO-delivered HDTV signal, HBO may bypass it and opt for DBS transmission via its joint satellite venture with GE called Crimson. GE may also be able to hold all the cards with its advanced compatible television system for terrestrial broadcasting and the Crimson project for cable and/or DBS distribution. As usual, the confusion over HDTV will most likely fall on the consumer, who will have to wait until the American broadcasting factions and manufacturers get it together and offer HDTV with a minimum of disruption. But from a purely technological perspective, direct broadcast satellite is the best means of delivering HDTV. Any other method requires compromises and trade-offs, which only result in the consumer settling for less. If all goes well, some sort of HDTV should be available by the early 1990s. Once again, the FCC is being asked to clarify its policy on indecent programming. The three major networks, along with 14 media groups, have filed a brief at the U.S. Court of Appeals, charging that the FCC's policy is overly broad and constitutionally vague, thus treading on the broadcaster's First Amendment rights. The FCC's current definition of indecency is material that depicts or describes in terms patently offensive as measured by contemporary community standards for the broadcast medium, sexual or excretory activities or organs. The media groups feel that the FCC's vague policy has the potential of chilling news and public affairs programs, which may be offensive to some while having artistic, scientific, political, or literary value. The case will be argued before the U.S. Court of Appeals on June 1st. Turner Broadcasting seems to be in the red. Karen has more.
Turner Broadcasting Systems reported a net loss for 3 months ending December 31st, 1987 of $27.2 million on revenues of $193.1 million. For the same period last year, TBS reported a net loss of $65.9 million on revenues of $155.9 million. NBA playoffs will be aired by Turner Broadcasting's TBS beginning April 28th. Some 26 games will be carried live as pro basketball's top teams begin their quest to participate in the NBA Finals. TBS serves approximately 130,000 dish owners on Galaxy One Transponder 18. Home Dish Only, owner of American Ecstasy, the Tuxedo Network, and recently announced Stardust Theater, is going public. The announcement came from the company's president, Paul Klein, who claims that LGM Acquisition, a blind pool corporation, is buying the service in an attempt to ease the private firm into the public offering. The stock will be traded over the counter. Mike?
Thank you, Karen. Last Wednesday, Congressman Edward Markey of Massachusetts conducted the first of 3 cable oversight hearings before the House Telecommunications Subcommittee. Although most industry observers noticed that this hearing was virtually free of cable bashing that occurred during the recent hearings conducted by Senator Metzenbaum of Ohio, many expressed concern over conditions in the cable marketplace. Congressman Rick Boucher of Virginia said he was concerned about vertical integration and rate increases. Representative Carlos Moorhead of California expressed concern over cable service and channel shifting. Tucson, Arizona Mayor Tom Volge complained that cities have lost almost all of their regulatory powers in regard to cable franchises. NCTA President James Mooney refuted charges that cities have lost their regulatory power and that cable rates have been drastically rising. He submitted an 89-page statistical report to prove his position. Congressman Markey ordered a study of cable rate hikes to be conducted by the General Accounting Office. Mr. Mooney said he welcomes such a study. We'll have an in-depth report on this next week on Boresight. HBO finds itself in court. Karen has that story.
The Z Channel, a regional pay service out of Los Angeles, is now on Satcom 3R, and it's being encrypted with GR's Video Cipher 2. Their spokesman, Harry Klein, is not aware of any company plans to sell the service to dish owners. Dodgers and Angels fans with Homer stations can expect to see the service offered in the not-too-distant future. Z Channel is expecting to continue its delivery of pay movies and add to their lineup advertiser-supported sports. Now, while the Z Channel has been busy trading in its microwave transmitter for a satellite uplink, company officials have been busy drawing up papers to sue Home Box Office for antitrust violations. The suit revolves around Z Channel's attempt to air advertisements in with their sports programming. According to Z Channel spokesperson, the company filed suit in U.S. District Court alleging that Home Box Office and 4 major film studios violated the Sherman Act by boycotting the LA-based programming service. The suit claims that HBO coerced the studios to withhold product from the Z Channel because of Z's plans to include advertisements. An HBO spokesperson told Boresight that the suit has no merit, though he maintains that advertisements on pay devalues their product. A trial on April 18th will decide whether or not the Z Channel can include advertisements in their sports programming. HBO said they have no problem with the Z Channel as a satellite-delivered service.
When we return, Variety's impression of the SBCA trade show and missing kids on satellite. Stay with us.
Are you tired of listening to buzzwords and not knowing what they mean? What does VSAT mean? And what is this new one, business television? Hey, you can find out. You can go to these courses. They take weeks and cost thousands of dollars. That's what we've done. Or you can save a whole bunch of money because you have a satellite dish, you're a satellite dealer, you already know many of the terms and what they mean. But maybe you don't know some of the unique ways you can make money with it. Maybe you don't know all the things that are needed from you to make the installation. How do you do the roof mounts? What is required? How do you do all the settings? What do you do when you bid for a VSAT job? And what do you do for business television? You can sell business television. There's a great opportunity out there. But more importantly, there are many people out there seeking to find installers to do VSAT installations. A few business TVs. Business television is projected to do well over 100,000 units in the next year because of the dynamic growth of that industry. Are you going to be able to address that growth? Are you going to be able to do those installations? The people want certain things from you, and you can give it to them now because it's going to be a VSAT business television seminar. Yes, yes, and you don't have to bother even leaving your office because we're going to do it live via satellite. Yes, we told you that there's going to be opportunities to use that wire decoder other than with Yellow Rain. Well, you can, because now there are going to be 2 seminars held live via satellite in the 1st of May, allowing you to use your wire decoder. The first seminar is business television and VSAT. It's a one-day seminar. It's $189 if you do not have the wire decoder. That $189 is $100 for the course and $89 for the wire decoder. That's a 5-year lease on that decoder, folks. So for $189, you get a full one-day seminar with course book, with everything you need. And you can come in and on live via telephone and ask questions of the guests that will be there telling you what's going on with VSAT and how you can address that market and how and what you need to know about business television. It's going to be a full 10 hours. 10 hours, you can tape it, but it's going to be full of information you need to know. Now, what's the second day? The second day, well, you should ask. Well, we did. We thought about what else dealers really need to know. Well, we all know about SMATV, but do we really know? There's a lot of money in SMATV. Big marketplace right now. Are we addressing it? Well, maybe we're not addressing it because we don't know everything we need to know about it. Now you can. The second day is a SMATV course. If you just want to take it, it's $189. That includes the 5-year lease on the wire decoder. If you want both courses would be $289. But if you register now, you can save yourself a good $50. Yes, indeed. $239 if you register now. That includes the wire decoder for the full 5 years. You never have to rent it again or lease it again, and both courses with course books. Now, if you already have a wire decoder, hey, take $89 off. And if you went to the seminar back in September of '86, the VSAT seminar, take $40 more off because we never sent you that videotape. So, there you go. Go for it.
If you've ever wondered how other media view our industry, you may want to read an article in the March 30th edition of Variety magazine entitled Tech Huddle Sees Satellite TV Looming as a Household Item. The piece, written by Maury Gelman, does acknowledge the potential of satellite TV, but also suggests that the TVRO industry may have to work at getting its act together, judging from the recent SBCA STTI trade show. Gelman describes the show as a meeting where getting the water pitchers on the dais filled was a major logistical problem, and Gelman also says that, with a couple of exceptions, the program listed only the moderator of panel discussions, and there wasn't a name card in place. Gelman also quotes Dr. John Clark, former head of the Goddard Flight Space Center, as saying, "Satellite TV is more powerful than any of the existing technologies when it comes to direct-to-home transmission," and that many of the people in network TV and cable understand satellite TV's potential power better than most people. Karen has a story on using satellite to find missing children.
A new service will be launched on Satcom 1R in May. It's called the Kids Information Network, and it's designed to help locate missing children. The channel is a for-profit service, and it comes from LA-based United Broadcasting Systems. Private investors are funding KIN's launch and startup costs, but United expects advertisers will fit the bill. The channel is hoping grocery stores and fast food chains will continue their support of efforts to locate missing children. The programming will include features, commercials, and one-minute reports on missing kids. It's estimated that there are 1.3 million missing children in this country. Home Sports Entertainment will be scrambling its Satcom 4 feed by Video Cipher 2 on April 18th. Home dish owners will be able to subscribe to the service through Home Sports Entertainment directly and hopefully through other packages like United Video, says General Manager Glenn Gugliola. Prices charged dish owners will be the same as what cable subscribers pay. In the Houston and Dallas areas, that price would be $95 per year, and elsewhere in the nation, that would be $48. In more news on Home Sports Entertainment, the Sports Network says that it will be working closely with General Instruments in order to test the pay-per-view and blackout functions of the Video Cipher 2. According to Gugliola, varying lengths of ball games, plus the requirements to keep certain territories from seeing certain games, makes Home Sports Network a perfect testing base. Gugliola says that GI wants to make sure that everything is working right on this pay-per-view mode before it rolls out that system to the consumer. Now, for other programmers, pay-per-view has not been a popular option on the Video Cipher because it hasn't worked. But recently, GI has established a method to improve its performance, and we'll have a result on how that test occurs in a follow-up.
Thanks, Karen. 10 new Canadian specialty TV channels are set to launch this fall, but thanks to Telesat Canada's full-capacity booking on its 2 main satellites, some of those services will have to find slots in the newer Anik D2. But in order to receive signals from Anik D2, cable operators will have to invest up to $30,000 Canadian for new downlink equipment. So far, no one is buying. This may have a serious impact on Vision TV, TV5 Metro Media, and the Canadian Broadcasting Company's All News channel, all of which will be carried on Anik after September 1st. Reported delays on the CBC's news channel launch date may convince some CEOs that Anik may not be worth the $30,000 investment. Optimists say Canadian cable operators are merely taking a wait-and-see attitude, and that by September 1st, about 10 of Canada's largest cable systems, which covers about 80% of Canada's cable market, will install the downlink equipment. We'll be back after these words. Stay tuned.
Dealers, this could be your commercial.
Now is the time to step up to satellite.
A home satellite system provides more programming than you ever imagined, and it costs much less than you might think. A satellite system gives you access to literally every programming service in the United States, including 13 all sports and 10 full-time movie channels and nearly 100 other services, even news before the networks get it.
No other type of television even comes close. Don't settle for a limited choice when you can have the wide world of satellite TV in your own backyard.
Over the past 2 years, home satellite systems have improved and simplified dramatically, while prices have dropped between 30 and 50%. Do yourself and your family a favor today and talk to your satellite dealer. The time is right, and so is the price.
This commercial will be customized for your satellite dealership with your address, your phone number, and information about special deals or promotions you are offering. Contact Network Productions Video Services Department at 201-562-0080 for information about this and other satellite television commercials. Remember, a television commercial is the most effective way to increase your sales. Contact Network Productions Video Services today at 201-562-0080.
Having your home wired for cable seems innocent enough, until you realize that you've given up control of your television set to an unregulated monopoly. Your local satellite dealer offers the alternative that can free you from the crushing grip of cable and allow you to regain control of your television set. A home satellite system. Support your local satellite dealer, the unsung hero of the video communications industry.
Welcome back. The Playboy channel says it will begin full-time scrambling on May 2nd, 2 months later than originally announced earlier this year. Playboy says the delay is due to its desire to make sure all of its hotel affiliates had VC2 decoders. Supplying the hotels with the hardware has taken longer than anticipated. The Weather Channel is preparing to scramble and be marketed. Karen has that story in Atlanta.
The Weather Channel, which announced plans to be in the fixed-key scrambling mode by July 1 and addressable by September 1, has announced that it will be available to TVROs through HBO's Flex Packs and Showtime's Extra View. A spokeswoman for the service told Boresight that no contracts have been signed with the NRTC or other satellite equipment distributors, but cable affiliates of the Weather Channel will also be marketing that service to dish owners. No prices have been set yet. Disney has not yet added itself to either HBO's or Showtime's package, and the service has not made any agreement to allow distributors through parties outside of themselves or cable affiliates. The $8.95 monthly charge to dish owners is in line with what the average cable customer pays throughout the country. According to a random survey of 25 cable systems nationwide, Multi-Channel News found the highest cable subrate for Disney in Tulsa, Oklahoma for $12.95. The lowest rate was $5 in Huntsville, Alabama. The average is $9.03, which is 8 cents higher than the dish owner fee. And the dish owner doesn't have to help a cable operator pay for its plant or its operation overhead.
Thanks, Karen. The Wineguard company will be sponsoring 2 different practical and informative technical seminars this month. On April 12th, a one-day seminar will be held from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Macao Vegas restaurant in Las Vegas. Among topics of discussion will be commercial MATV, head-end design, trapping and filtering, and SMATV design. Cost of the one-day seminar is $25. If you want more information on this seminar, call Bill Tiemann at 916-722-0143. On April 13th, Wineguard will conduct a 2-day seminar from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Holiday Inn Costa Mesa at the Orange County Airport. Among topics to be covered are new products and applications, TV reception problems, costing and bidding procedures, receivers, commercial and consumer receivers rather, troubleshooting. If you want information on this seminar, you can call Linda Lee at 213-639-0474. KTVT will be moving its location on satellite. Karen keeps us informed.
KTVT can now be seen on Satcom 1R and F4 Transponder 3, but only until April 15th. After that time, the Superstation will only be found on F4. Bill Sullivan, spokesperson for the Common Carrier United Video, says the carrier decided to move KTVT from 1R to F4 because 1R did not have the coverage required to distribute KTVT on a nationwide basis. Sullivan says that many potential KTVT viewers could not get 1R signal. United Video uplinked the station to 1R for about 1 month. Before that, it was on Telstar 303 for 2 years. Except for WPIX, which is also on F4, other United Video superstations can be found on Galaxy. Sullivan says getting them all on one bird is easier said than done. A reminder this Sunday, Gore will be live over SpaceNet 1, Transponder 7 at 7 o'clock. The idea is to invite your friends to your house and pass the hat and raise funds for Senator Gore's presidential campaign. This Democrat from Tennessee has been a strong supporter of the TVRO industry. His bill S-889 is coming up for a full Senate vote pretty soon. It's a pro-dish bill. Fred Finn, president of the Home Satellite Television Association, says, "The senator has supported us for years. Now it's our turn." The Home Satellite Television Association received a response to their letter to the Federal Communications Commission requesting a separate office be established for the home satellite industry. In brief, HSTA President Fred Finn said that the commission denied the request. We'll have details on that next week. Mike?
As you can probably see, Boresight is in a transition period. We'll hope you'll bear with us for the next few weeks as we fine-tune the format and make some adjustments so we can bring you the best possible show on the TVRO industry. We'll be back with more, a feature, I believe, coming up, and Karen will close the show, and I'll see you next week. Stay tuned.
announcing a special deal on Satellite TV Preview, a complete weekly satellite TV guide. Just mail us the cover of the guide you presently receive, and we'll give you a special deal of just $36 for a full year of Satellite TV Preview. That's $10 off the regular subscription price for Satellite TV Preview, a great guide. And all you have to do is send us a cover, and we'll send you Satellite TV Preview, the most complete weekly satellite TV guide. To get this special deal, just send your present guide cover with a $36 check or money order to 262 Old New Brunswick Road, Piscataway, New Jersey, 08854. Visa MasterCard orders, call 800-876-6121. Call today to save $10.
All of those naysayers who have predicted that the satellite dish industry and its supporters would be dead in the water by 1987 ought to be here today to see this kind of gathering here in Iowa. We're not only not dead, we're on a roll, and we're going to win this battle we're in. We're going to pass the legislation, and we're going to win.
Senator Albert Gore made those comments before approximately 200 satellite dealers at the DSI Distributing Seminar on September 26th in West Des Moines, Iowa. The presidential candidate from Tennessee balanced those positive comments with words of caution.
There has never been a more important and challenging time to be in the business of providing this exciting new technology to people all across the country. But it is also a treacherous time, a time when we've got to work harder than ever before to get a fair deal for dish owners.
A fair deal for the dish owners, a main legislative concern of Senator Gore's. He reminded the dealers of his involvement with the TVRO industry and his accomplishments.
For 4 long years now, as a member of the House of Representatives at first and then the Senate, and now as a candidate for president, I have been working hard on the critical issues important to home dish owners throughout this country. When we first began this fight, we faced programmers who were hell-bent to scramble and unwilling to deal with dish owners in any way. Major cable companies that were determined to shut down an infant industry. Local cable operators using slanted advertising to try to discredit the home dish, and using local political clout even to zone your dish out of existence.
Many legislators haven't taken an active interest in the turbulent TVRO marketplace. Some haven't a clue as to what's going on, and others feel that there are more important issues to concentrate on. Why has Senator Gore gotten involved in the TVRO industry?
Let me tell you why I got involved in it. I don't own a dish. I don't own a satellite dish. I wish I did, and I hope sometime to get one, because we live on a farm, but I'm out traveling all the time. In any event, I did not get in the fight because I own a satellite dish. But I've got friends who do, and a dealer in Tennessee came to visit me and told me about what was going on. I could scarcely believe it. And I looked with my own eyes and listened with my own ears and talked with people out in the country. And I found out that what they were telling me was the truth, that a terrible injustice was being done. And you know that's the case.
Senator Gore expressed his belief that satellite technology belongs to the American people. After all, they paid for it.
Here the taxpayers of the United States have spent hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to develop the whole technology of satellites, and then the satellites get up there and the signals are beamed down and they're falling on your yard out there, and you put up a dish to collect what's falling on your yard and watch it, and they're trying to tell you it's illegal. I didn't think that was right. And the great majority of people in this country were prepared to agree with that. So we passed legislation that said, yes, of course, it is legal. And we changed the law to clarify it, to make certain that that principle was established. And we won that battle. But of course, they started scrambling with a vengeance.
While on the topic of scrambling and program availability, Senator Gore discussed the July 31st Senate hearings on S-889, the Satellite TV Fair Marketing Act of 1987.
How many of y'all saw the hearing in the Senate this summer on your satellite. We made some progress in that hearing, and the other side feels like they're on the ropes now a little bit. But we can't rest or relax. We've got a lot of hard work to do. When I chaired that hearing a few weeks ago, the evidence was clear. The problems that we faced last year still exist, even worse in many cases. Major programmers are still shutting out all non-cable distributors. Decoder availability and pricing is still volatile. Cable is still exercising its monopoly powers. But unlike last year, when the Senate barely rejected my legislation, we've got a new committee, a new Senate, and we've got momentum.
Because the senator is one of the Democratic candidates for the presidency, many members of the mainstream press were in attendance at the DSI seminar. Gore explained the TVRO issues for their benefit.
You've got a dish like this one here, and thousands of them around this country. That's one technology. Cable television is another technology. Now, the cable television companies, particularly the large